So you might be wondering what the heck I'm even doing here. This is something that's totally off the record. I'm going to reload a file right after this, but something that was pointed out in the comments that I wanted to test out for myself. So, pirates can walk on water, warriors can't. What happens if you promote a pirate Ross to warrior while he's in the ocean? I actually don't know the answer to this, so let's find out. So, I don't think we'll be able to find out whether this, what this actually does until the next turn. But let's see what happens. Okay, let's see if Ross can move or not. Ah, okay, so this is exactly what I thought would happen. Ross is now stuck. It's actually kind of hilarious. I know that you'd probably never do this without intentionally trying, just out of curiosity, but pretty amusing this can actually happen. So, yeah, Ross can't actually move now. You know, I just realized that because in skirmishes, you're free to bring as few characters as you want, so if you only brought Ross to a skirmish, then had him walk into the water and then do this, you could potentially screw yourself and have to restart. That's actually pretty funny. Also, kind of funny the fact that Ross suddenly forgets how to swim, basically. I'm sorry, I just find this kind of funny. But yeah, that's what happens. I'd never really known that before. He can still stand in the water, he just can't move. I mean, not that you'd ever really do this, but it's just something kind of funny to show. Anyway, we now return to your regularly scheduled bonus footage. Welcome back to Fire Emblem The Sacred Stones. Last time we went through Erika's Chapter 15, Scorched Sand, and defeated 2 of the Imperial Generals, finally. This time I'm going to be showing a bit of footage from Ephriam's version of Scorched Sand, but, and also just a bit of bonus footage in general. I wanted to load the file here just to show this. Johanna Hall appearing on the world map, and the fact that we get a link between here and Renvol, which is kind of interesting, which also seems to have a unique map location. So, this is our next destination, and despite the fact that Erika needs our help urgently, we can take our sweet time getting to her. We can even go back to the Tower of Valny if we wanted to. Oh, that's an upgraded mogul there. We were not supposed to be seeing that in the main story for a little while. But anyway, something to note as well is that we can't access the secret shop from the world map here. We will be able to do that in the post-game, but in the main story, secret shops are strictly in-chapter only. Before we move on to the chapter itself, we can actually do our first promotion right here on the world map. So on this route, I'll be making you a druid. And you might have noticed that I've already bought some spells for him, well, 1 spell for him to use and 1 extra Flux Tome. So finally we had some revenge. Those druids who tormented us in the last Ephriam chapter, we have one of our own now, and that +3 speed is very nice. We can now use staves, and we get Anima back. It goes back to just being a D rank, but Ewan is unlikely to be any higher than that as a pupil anyway, so it's not really that much loss. Also, we're on our way to an S rank in Dark Magic. Yay, we can use Gleep. Yeah. But anyway, he's looking pretty decent. Okay, I guess I can show off the intro cutscenes of Johanna Hall on Ephriam's route, and on this route we actually get a world map introduction for this chapter. That's a pretty basic introduction, but just showing this because there are a couple of slightly different cutscenes in this version. There are also a few conversations that you can only get in this version of the map. Also, there'll be a few differences to show immediately as the chapter starts. Yes, as you can see, we start the map from where Ephriam begins in Erika's version of this map. Yeah, on this route we don't know that it got set on fire. And we once again have 2 enemy generals. And once again, the same tutorial on the desert. So I'll just skip over this text. This line is a bit different, though. Well, there's no rescue victory condition in this game, so we have to defeat all enemy troops. So yeah, this scene here is actually unique to Ephriam's route. I said this before, but Ephriam's cutscene focuses more on Kalark than it does Volta. I guess because Volta has a bit less of a personal connection to Ephriam. He's acting very differently to the Ephriam we saw back at Grotto Keep. And on Ephriam's route, this is the most you'll get in terms of backstory for Joshua. This is one of the reasons why I wanted to show Erica's route first, and why I recommend that route more to first-time players of this game, because on Ephriam's route, you never find out Joshua's true heritage. The only thing you get is Kalark saying they used to fight together as mercenaries. Yeah, he was pretty obvious in his ambitions. And as long as you realize you're horribly outclassed if you actually do try and find me. Well, she alone may have no chance of winning, but we're not her. We've got a pretty strong army with us, and we're going to rescue her. So the map here is very slightly different, you'll notice. This guy is still here, but he's less of an immediate threat to Cormag. Most of the enemies are the same, but our deployment location... Oh yeah, these two here are shamans rather than mages. There are some very slight differences in terms of enemy placement on Ephriam's route as compared to Erica's. So yeah, it's like that. Some of the enemies are... I'm pretty sure that guy did have a hammer before. But yeah, there's no bandit here either. And I don't think these archers were here back on Erica's route, so I'm not going to be discussing every single little minute change in, I think these types of enemies were also different. But yeah, I'm not going to be discussing every little change, because that'd be kind of pointless. But I just wanted to show that here, because this is the one chapter that we are actually showing, not fully twice, but kind of. Oh, and this troubadour has berserk instead of sleep. Yeah, Ephriam's route kind of hates you in that regard. Be careful is what I was saying. Oh, and this guy has Lunar instead of Flux, so there are a lot of little differences in the enemy items on this route. Be careful if you're playing both of them at once, like I did. The bosses, though... Yeah, Kalark and, hey, stats are actually a little bit higher here, or that could just be random hard mode stat variations. Yeah, Voltal's kind of similar. I think he had one less skill on the other file. But, yeah, Kalark definitely had one less point of strength back there. So that's the main thing that I wanted to show there. And although this means not bringing a thief, so it's going to be a bit more annoying to get all of the items, I'm going to bring Seth here because he has a special conversation in this chapter that isn't possible on Erica's route. So when I start this chapter, you'll see something also new to Ephriam's route. So in addition to Erica coming back, and yeah, she has been auto-leveled up to level 15, with stats pretty similar to how they ended up on my Erica route file, actually, with the exact same items that she had back when she last left, which means, in this case, no second rapier. That's exclusive to her route. But we also have Innes back. Innes, yes, I know how to pronounce his name properly now thanks to Heroes, but anyway, Innes gets 2 auto levels on Ephriam's route, so his starting stats here will vary. Unfortunately, he joins much, much later than he does on Erica's route, so compared to there, he misses out on a lot of potential experience and playtime, making him quite a bit less useful. Still decent though, and he'll definitely come in handy in protecting Erica from all the Pegasus Knight reinforcements in this map. And Soleil. Soleil gets 3 auto levels on Ephriam's route, probably to make up for his growth rates being not as good as Innes. Anyway, he's pretty similar. He loses out on a fair amount of playtime compared to Erica's route, making him a bit less useful. But he still helps in this chapter of protecting Erica, and hey, it's a desert chapter and they're giving you a free sage who doesn't take up a deployment slot. So hey, I'm not going to say no to that. So yeah, on Ephriam's route, this is the first you're seeing of the both of them. They pretty much have to get to defending Erica right away. And on this route, actually hanging back at the gate might not be a bad idea. I'm not going to really show that much of this first turn, but I am going to show just a little bit of how these two work. And his animations are off. Soleil in particular is pretty helpful here because he can cross the desert without penalty being a magic user. So for example, he can go ahead and do this. Though, we do need to watch out for these Wyvern Riders. Like I said back on Erica's route, Soleil is a lot more fragile than he seems sometimes. Also, he doesn't start with any staves. It might be not a bad idea to have him go to this shop and buy a couple of staves, just in case you need healing up on Erica's front. Just be careful of the enemies. I think he should be able to handle 2 of these guys. Let me just check. 22. Yeah, we can get a heal staff here. Might as well. That might come in handy. Okay, for now I'm just going to cut away, and I'll be cutting back to show some promotions and some unique conversations to this route. On Ephriam's group, this group of reinforcements still arrives on turn 7, but the reinforcements from around here and here are mages instead of shamans. Also, this reinforcement down here has a stealable elixir. I don't know if he had that on Erica's route or not, but it's there. So now I'm in pretty much the perfect position to show off all of the extra conversations. Now, I'm pretty sure Erica and Ephriam is the same, but Seth can talk to Erica. She's only concerned, it's like, oh, if you're here, Ephriam must be here, I don't care about you at all. That's what she's been doing pretty much this whole time. Okay, now she's showing him some appreciation. So yeah, that's all for that. Also, Ewan can talk to Soleil. Considering that I've promoted you to Druid right now, I think you're already covered there. And Inez can talk to Tana. Just gotta stay out of range of that Berserker, I don't want to get criticaled. So he's still being a jerk. I only consider working together because it's the better strategy. I hate friendship. That's a pretty nice line. So yeah, those are the extra conversations here. Next, I'll be showing the differences in boss conversations. Oh, here's one I actually didn't know about. Erica can talk to Tana. Pretty brief, but also nice. Really? Well, at least that's the first low % crit death I've had. But seriously, I was like, oh, he only has 3% critical against Tana. I'm fine using her to lure him. Ugh. So, I'm back here to show Erica and Ephriam's special boss conversation with Volta, though I am likely to restart after I do Erica's because she may die. She could very easily die. But anyway, this one. I guess, technically speaking, Erica hasn't directly seen him since then, which is interesting. And, yeah, no. No. This is probably one of the most disturbing things this game got away with in its rating. Okay, now for Ephriam's special boss conversation with Volta. That's a great line too. So here's Kalark versus Joshua on Ephriam's route. If you like the one on Erica's, be prepared to be disappointed. I mean, not that it's bad, but with the fact that you don't know that Kalark killed Joshua's mother on this route, this conversation is very, very different. It focuses more on their time as mercenaries. At least there's a little bit more backstory in this one. Yeah, I don't think he'd do it even though he doesn't know that he murdered his mother. So, it's a lot less personal than the one on Erika's route, obviously. It does give a bit of interesting details in the backstory, but still, I much prefer Erika's one for obvious reasons. I mean, if this was the only one that existed, I'd still quite like it, but given that it has some pretty serious competition, yeah, no. Also, so next on our less awesome than Erika's route boss conversation list is Cormac versus Volta. So on this route, Cormac never finds out Volta killed his brother. As such, this dialogue is not going to be quite as awesome. Although, admittedly, this line is amazing. I forgot exactly where this line came up, but it is one of my favorite lines in this game. Well, let's see. Come on, please hit. There we go. Still more satisfying on Erika's route, but at least I showed that conversation. And that'll end this chapter on Ephriam's route. So I'll just be showing the scene where we get the sacred twins that Erika found. So yeah, the ones that we got on Erika's route, we get them on Ephriam's route now. These ones I think are much more awesome than Grado's sacred twins, but still. And we find this out here. And from here on... Okay, I'll just show getting these. This means that sadly you can't use Adhulma on Kalark in this chapter like you could on Erika's route. And yeah, from here on, the cutscenes are exactly the same as they are on Erika's route, so I'm just going to go ahead and skip this. There's a little bit more I might show before we move on. That's because I kind of want to grind Erika to level 20 before I get to chapter 16, and I also want to promote Garrick because just to keep him even with the level that he was on the other routes. And I'll also be grinding for a few support conversations in the meantime, so I'll show a few of those, just so that I don't have to just show a bunch of support conversations at the very end of the playthrough. Just to show this, though, Renee's castle has appeared on the world map. And also, regardless of which route you completed, you now have access to every location from the opposite route. So for Ephriam's route, we now have access to all of Erika's route's locations, and if you're playing Erika's route, you now have access to places like Tyzel and Bethrowan. So that's at least good to know. Also, if you play skirmishes while you're in these maps, in fact, a skirmish is up here, I can actually show this now. I'll retreat right out of it, but just to quickly show this, we can hear Erika's second map theme even on Ephriam's routes, When I was first playing this game, this was how I first heard Ephriam's second map theme, and I was like, wow. Yeah, that made me want to replay the game and play his route. Anyway, just wanted to share that little anecdote. Okay, so I've got 3 supports that I wanted, plus 1 bonus that I didn't actually expect to get. Firstly, because I've been waiting to show this for so long, I'm going to show Dussel and Amelia. Well, Dussel is pretty amazing. It's actually quite a long support, but yeah, that ended in a pretty mysterious way. We'll see what comes of that later. I also got Dussel and Ephriam C. I knew these two had a support, but this is a support that I've actually never done before. Now, I don't know if this will really help me very much in the post-game or anything like that, but I might as well show this. I had a feeling these two would unlock a support sooner or later, though. Yes, I'm now picturing young Ephriam just trying to pick up a spear and then just falling over flat on his face. Well, Ephriam was still the same back in the day, I guess. Still kind of had those Leroy Jenkins tendencies. Just don't use the Regan Leaf. I think that'd give you a bit of an unfair advantage. So that's kind of nice, though. The annoying thing is that if I'm planning on getting Dussel to an A with Amelia this playthrough, I'll only be able to get him up to a C with Ephriam, so yeah, that support limiter was always a bit annoying. And now I have this support I'd already unlocked, but I'd never found a good opportunity to show it until now, so Arthur and Luke B. $990. I get the feeling that her should probably hum a song that's actually kind of creepy sounding. that one's pretty standard, but it gets much better in the A support. And now I have Tana and Ephriam B. Alright, I love this conversation. Yeah, I remember this one now. This one's pretty great. Of course he would have. I guess he was super competitive even back then. Ephriam, you big doofus. I still love that conversation. Anyway, I'll need a little bit more to level up Garrick. By the way, he's damaged this much because of poison, not because of the enemies. And I think I might try and grind a few more supports, so we'll see. And now, more supports. This time we have Garrick and Marissa, Amelia and Dacel B, and Ines and Vanessa C. So let's do this one first, because these two were actually the first one that I unlocked in this run. I actually stole her sword to give to Joshua, so, I guess he knows how sharp it is now. And Marissa's still being as, emotive as usual. Yeah, Marissa's kind of, let's just say, interesting as a character, but I do like her support chain with Garrick. Anyway, so, Ines and Vanessa. This is another one that I intend to get to an A support off camera. Guess this support makes more sense on Erica's route, but whatever. It's a weird phrase for Ines to be using. Didn't expect to see that there of all places, but yeah. You'll notice that he actually acts quite a bit less jerkish around her. Yeah, he already had a lot of parallels to a certain sniper from the 14th game in the series. He now also has an underling who has an obvious crush on him, who he's also surprisingly nice to most of the time. Yeah. Very obvious parallels. But anyway, Dacel and Amelia B. I will say just now, though, this support is one of the biggest cases of the game being a massive troll if you've got one of these two to an A and thus can't get the A in this conversation. The GBA games like to do this a lot. They like to end their B supports on a huge cliffhanger so that you go, no! If you've already got them to an A with someone else and have hit your support limit already. Now, that kind of reminds me of the reason why Ken in Persona 3 uses a spear. The weapon triangle. Wow, like, it actually exists as a concept in universe. Well, I mean, admittedly, there's a support in FE6 that actually discusses the concept of affinities. So, yeah, some of the game mechanics are known in universe, but I didn't realize the weapon triangle was. That's kind of amazing. Forgot about this. You can actually see those in Amelia's recruit animation now that I think about it. And thankfully don't possess devastatingly bad accuracy like they did in FE6. I will never get tired of making fun of FE6 axes. This is interesting because Amelia is capable, well, she has 2 potential final classes that can use all 3 weapons, so this support actually does make sense. And yeah, Dussel can use all 3. So, makes sense that he'd know the advantages of each one. It's almost as if he is a major general in one of the army's biggest countries who's been a teacher of young knights for a very long time. Ah, that's interesting. So, her relationship with Franz must still exist even if you support Dussel. That's actually kind of interesting. I've there referenced that, although it's a shame that I won't be able to get Amelia and Franz to an A, because a lot of people like them as a pairing. I mean, considering how harsh he was to Ephriam when he was still learning, I'd understand why someone would be embarrassed to practice in front of him. And like I said, this is a case of the game really trolling you if you had Amelia or Dussel in an A already, because that'll be where this support chain ends, and you're left on a huge cliffhanger. Like I said, there's actually quite a few of these. I remember in my first playthrough, I managed to support Arthur and Naomi a few times, and the B support ends with the 2 of them trying to find a mirror that used to belong to a grandmother, I think. And if you can't get them to an A, that's where it ends, and you don't find out what happened. Anyway, though, I think... Actually, wait, no, I have to... Yeah, Erica still needs a few more levels. Dang it. Yeah, I'm going to need to go back and grind Erica a little bit more. I think that'll be almost it for the supports, but I can now promote Garrick. He actually did get to level 20 in that last skirmish. So, once again, it's hero time. He didn't get quite as good level ups on this route, but the stats are still pretty good. Yeah, those are some pretty decent stats all round. Erica got quite a few good level ups too, so one more round, I guess. Okay, so I've got a few supports to show here. I've got Garrick and Marissa to a B now. I've also got Ross and Garrick C and Joshua and Garrick C. However, I just realized something. If I want to get Garrick to an A with Marissa, I could either have Garrick get C's with both of these two, but not B's. Here's the thing though, Joshua already has a B support, Ross currently has no supports. I kind of feel like Ross would benefit more from getting a B with Garrick. The other possible way I could do this is to get Ross to a B with Lutz, because they are a support option. And then maybe Ross could get to an A with Ewan, maybe. Huh. I might show both these conversations via restore points, though, so yeah. Firstly, though, the supports that I'm definitely going to keep are this one. Not in this file, unfortunately. Wow. That last line. Yeah, forgot about that last line. Let's not think too hard about that. But, that was... Okay, I like this support chain, because this is just a rare side of Innes. He's not being a jerk for once, which is kind of nice. And anyway, this is the other support that I'm definitely keeping. That's weird, because I thought she was trying to be sociable. This makes me really want to hear what Marissa would sound like voice acted. Okay, I'll try not to, too. Of course, he couldn't even hold it for a second. Oh wow, that's how the support ends. It's actually, because I remember getting these supports a while ago, but now that I'm getting it now, that's actually kind of similar to Tharia and Robin B. Except, not quite as creepy. But anyway, here's where I'm going to go ahead and make a restore point just so I can show both of these conversations. I guess the one that I'm likely to end up keeping is probably Ross's, because he needs the supports more, so I'll show this one first. He has a title too, also use it. I have a feeling I can tell the kind of thing that he's suggesting. So, they actually keep Joshua's royal heritage there ambiguous because you can potentially get that on Ephriam's route where it isn't revealed. The interesting thing is that Garrick and Joshua actually do have an A support ending, where Garrick essentially becomes, like, kind of the equivalent of Captain of the Royal Guard to Joshua. It's actually pretty cool. But, unfortunately, I'm not going to be keeping that support. I'm going to be reloading and showing Ross's one now. I'm kind of surprised that I haven't had Ross support anyone so far. That ocean thing, yeah, makes sense why he has pirate as an option. It's always cool when they justify characters' class options via aspects of their backstory or personality. I mean, considering I find Garrick to be a better axe user than most of this game's actual axe users, he definitely could teach Ross a thing or two. So yeah, it's kind of a mentor thing going on. I'm mainly getting that for gameplay bonuses though, because Ross doesn't have any other supports. So let's, that's way too much damage. And you can't access the convoy because you are not the main character on this route. I need to very quickly trade over a sword to her. Okay, I think that's enough with the support episode and the training for now. Now that I've got Erica to level 20. I'll see you in the next episode for really taking back our homeland this time. Oh, and I was checking the support menu and I found this. Notice that darkened sprite there? If you see this earlier in the game, that should make it pretty obvious that a certain someone will be joining you on the battlefield eventually. And she's going to be joining us pretty soon. Look forward to that next time.